for an awesome spirit band experience. Oh, I'm just going to stand here, but thank you. Thank you. Yes, I'm short, but hopefully you can see me. Okay, so the theme for 2025 is rising higher, growing deeper. The theme for May is raise your voice. And today's topic is confidence unleashed, the art of self-advocacy. Ernest Holmes wrote, the greatest good that can come to anyone is the forming of an absolute certainty of themselves and of their relationship to the universe, forever remaining in a state of calm. So let us affirm together, I confidently speak my truth and advocate for myself with clarity and strength. So now Reverend Kathleen is going to speak from pure strength and confidence. You're welcome. Here.
So settling in to this idea of self-advocacy, something that has been very prominent recently, particularly with the community of people with disabilities. They are being really rallying behind this whole self-advocacy movement. And it really warms my heart because I have a couple of grandsons who have ADHD, and they've had to have accommodations in school. And it's required advocacy on the part of my daughter, but eventually they're going to need to learn to self-advocate as well for the different accommodations that they need. But you know, this not only applies to people with disabilities, this applies to each and every one of us, this idea of self-advocacy. And what is it? It's an act of love. It's another act of love. Because always remember, love begins with loving ourselves. And then when we do that, we have overflow to share with others. So I love this topic. I mean, this whole month is about raising our voices with confidence, with strength. It's about the impact of that in terms of creating a world that works for all, creating harmony in our relationships. It's love in action. So self-advocacy is today, but we're also going to be covering over the month boundary setting, conflict resolution. And again, this is not only personally, but it's for the collective good, the good of all. So it extends outward. It's a rippling effect as we continue to bring that into our lives and model that for others. So the two basic things that I wanted to bring into this topic of confidence unleashed, the art of self-advocacy, is recognizing and honoring our divine nature, because that's where it begins. It begins within. And then also aligning with universal laws through self-advocacy. So embracing our divinity is key. It's key to being able to self-advocate. If we truly understand who we are in truth, we understand that we are inherently worthy, valuable, important to care for our own needs, and therefore to extend that out to others. But remember, it begins within. Today is all about caring for the self in love first. So then when we speak up from that place of divinity, we're able to speak up with love as well as humility, but firmness, being firm, being kind and firm. I love those two terms, being kind and firm about what our needs are. And as a result, because we are using our voice, remember the creative power of the voice, the power of our thought, the universal law completely and totally supports us in the manifestation of all of that. Well, the door just locked again. Oh my goodness. So, what we're talking about then is then being able to speak when we speak from our divinity, being able to speak with authority and authenticity. So let's talk about aligning with the universal laws. I think Maya Angelou spoke of this alignment with self-advocacy in this way. I love this quote. She said, "I not only have the right to stand up for myself, but I have the responsibility. I have the responsibility." She said, "I can't ask someone else to stand up for me if I won't stand up for myself." Ooh, it just gives me God bumps. Truth rings and it resonates. And I'm getting God bumps just from reading that beautiful quote. So self-advocacy has 3 key elements. Understanding your needs, knowing what kind of support that you need, what kind of help or support you need, and also communicating these needs to others. It's very simple, right? But it is important to know what our particular needs are and to realize that that's important. That's important. It's not, I think I'll just step aside and let the other people have their needs and, I'm not going to speak up. I'll be humble and just, No, this is really about understanding, taking our place and taking our space as part of this whole magnificent creation. So an example, a student who struggles with writing in a class and that requires taking a lot of notes. Let's say it's a history class, we have to take a lot of notes. So the child knows, I can't do that. There's no way I'm going to be able to succeed in this class if I don't have access to class notes. And so what does the student do with self-advocacy? Goes and speaks to the teacher first and says, I really need notes, or I need some way of taking notes that's going to work, because otherwise, I won't be able to succeed in this class. If the teacher says no, what does the student do next? Go to the school counselor, or maybe ask another student to share their notes with them, with permission of the teacher, or whatever it is. But the thing that happens with this process is that creativity is unleashed. Solution focus is unleashed. And therefore, the needs of the student are being taken care of. So strong advocacy is built on the understanding of not only our worth as divine beings, but the potential that we have that wants to be unleashed. And therefore it's important to self-advocate to ensure that those potentialities and possibilities in our lives are realized. Let's breathe. So as we do this, as we have a clear intention of what it is that we are to accomplish here on this planet, we all have a purpose. And I don't care what our age is, whether we're still working or not, we all have a purpose. And only you know what your purpose is. And if you want to read more about purpose, I see Eugene is here today. He just recently has been writing all about purpose in his blog, which is really awesome. Importance of purpose. So clear understanding of our needs, our personal needs and desires, and speaking up with confidence. And notice something that happens when we do this. Just like the quote by Maya Angelou. There's a resonance to it. When we have conviction, when we understand our needs and we speak up, there is a resonance to it. There is a power to it. And therefore, as we continue to do that more often, it builds self-confidence. It builds self-confidence, which is key and important for each and every one of us. So as a result, what happens then is not only building self-confidence, but fostering personal growth, empowerment, and the realization of our deepest desires. Self-advocacy is important for reaching and fulfilling our deepest desires. So important. So I'd like to finish with a story, and thank heavens Delaware Theater Company presented me with a great example of self-advocacy. And it's the story of Norma Miller, who is a dance legend. The play, I don't know if the play is still, it might be done. Last night was the last night, okay. But it's called Stompin' at the Savoy. And it's during the swing era at the Savoy Ballroom in the 1930s. And here's a young woman who lives right across the street from the Savoy. And she loves to dance, and she does, her dance is perfected doing jump rope with all the other folks, and actually with some of the dancers who work at the Savoy, she competes against them and wins money and nickels and stuff like that. And her dream, her deep, deep dream is to be one of those dancers. I think they call it the Lindy Hop dancers, one of the Lindy Hop dancers at the Savoy Ballroom. That's her dream. And this dream is a burning desire. And therefore, she begins to self-advocate. She tries to talk the man who is the director, I guess he's the director or the manager, into letting her just come in and watch. And putting pressure on her mother and her sister and the other dancers to assist her along the way. So the story continues to unfold as she not only gets into the Savoy Ballroom, and she's really underage, but they let her come in. She's still in high school. Her mother wants her to finish high school and, go on to other things. But by the time the end of the play is, she's one of the star dancers. This is based on a true story. Her skills level is so high. And so she's not only able to be a part of that dance group, that really renowned dance group, but they then go on to tour around the country and become very famous. But the burning desire, the desire to self-advocate, it is one self-advocacy statement after another that comes out of that young woman's mouth. I know some of us in here saw the play. It was lovely. So, self-advocacy, standing up, standing firm, knowing that it is an act of love, and it also blesses others ultimately when we're shining our light and giving our gifts. So let's stand up. I want us to get into the confidence mode. This is superhero mode. Put your hands on your hips if you would, please. Let's just get into this energy of confidence and power. And repeat after me. I am a divine being.
I am a divine being.
I am worthy of expressing my divine potential.
I am worthy of expressing my divine potential.
Now listen to this one. I am a tower of creative power.
I am a tower of creative power.
Yeah, feel that. And I now advocate for myself.
And I now advocate for myself.
Woohoo! All right, have a seat. So I'm inviting all of you then to remember the power of standing up for yourself, but also the power, therefore, of listening to the guidance of your inner counselor that's letting you know what your purpose is, that's letting you know what your action steps are to be. And therefore, when you use things called assertiveness skills, you're coming from a much more powerful place. And for this, I am so grateful. And so let's accept this good for ourselves with a powerful yes! And so it is. Thank you so much. And now, the band.